Hello everyone, my name is Nabaghan Ojha. I am the Managing Director of POC Consulting Private Limited Bhubaneswar in India. Today in this symposium I am going to present consciousness as a fundamental from the Indian philosophical point of view. So let me first tell you why consciousness is considered as a hard problem now. Because it was earlier it was assumed that our brain produced consciousness. So hence many research studies were undertaken to understand how actually the brain works. But the question is how a physical system, our body and the mind, consisting of blood, cells and tissues, uh, can actually give rise to subjective experience of the mind and of the world. It is not possible. Consciousness is actually a subjective approach. It cannot be objectifiable. The subjective nature of consciousness makes it difficult even to define. This is a first person experience, can be realized only through self inquiry. When we understand what exactly we are, then probably we will experience the consciousness and understand it very wisely. So, coming to the Indian philosophical approach, the consciousness is defined in a very profound way. The question that is discussed today as a hard problem, it was raised much before by a profound scholar in the Vedic age, probably 8,000 years back, to an enlightened teacher in the Kena Upanishads. And Upanishads are the world famous literatures we all know. German philosopher Schopenhauer already discussed this as the most famous literature in the world. And the question posed by the disciple to the teacher is like this. Its Sanskrit version is like this. Kena sitam patati presita manah, kena prana prathama preta yukta, kena sitam vacham mimang vadanti, chakhyusrota kaudeva unakti. The English translation is like this. Who is the impeller and propeller of the mind? Who is it that incites life into activity? Propelled by whom does speech function properly? And who is the divinity that harnesses the sense organs? See, this is the very profound question, and probably beyond this, there is no such question to ask. And the answer was also very paradoxical by the teacher. He said, he said many things, but the crux is like this. It is different from what is known, and it is different also from what is not known. So that means we don't know what it is, but we very well know what it actually is. And the answer is actually the consciousness, but it was given in a very logical and scientific way. To establish this fact, I will use one pointer, seer and seen, Drigdrishti Vivek, another Vedic literature. There are three steps I will use in this pointer to establish this fact. First is just a common experience that we see the objects in our eyes. Here there are three important observations we generally overlook, but these three observations are very crucial to understand this. The first observation is the seer, which is our eyes in this case, is different from the objects that we see. This means that our eyes act as a medium through which we perceive the world around us. The second observation is the seer is one. Here our eyes is one. I mean the organ, the eye organ as an organ is one, and the objects that we see around us are many and varied. The third observation is the seer is relatively unchanging, while the objects that we see keep changing. This means that our eyes remain constant, but the objects that we perceive are constantly in a state of flux. So the next step is the eyes themselves become seen and our mind becomes the seer and knower. The mind only knows what the eyes see. Without the mind, whatever we see is just meaningless. It is a fact. Physics will tell you what exactly we see is known by the mind. Hence, mind is the knower in this case. Here also there are three observations. The same three observations can be applicable here also. The mind, which is a seer in this case, is different from the eyes. The second is mind is one and the forms of our eyes are many. Sometimes eyes are good condition and sometimes bad. It's sometimes closed and sometimes also open. And the third observation is our mind is relatively unchanging while our eyes keep changing. Now the last step is, which is very crucial. In this level, mind itself is the seen or known, and there is something which is seer or an observer. We don't know what this observer is. So let us name it as witness. All the functions of the mind are known to us, isn't it? We know when we are sad, we know when we are happy. So something is observing actually the mind. So mind is not actually the everything for the body, for the human being. So something is observing, and when we observe very closely that the mind is changing, mind is in a bad condition or in a good condition, like this. So here also these three steps, steps are applicable. The seer and the seen are different, which means the witness is different from the mind. Definitely, because mind is observed by something. The witness is one, and the mind is having many forms. Sometimes it is disturbed, sometimes it is highly active, sometimes it is inactive, and so on. And lastly, the mind keeps changing with our body, but the witness remains the same. Now the question is, who is this witness? The witness is different from known and beyond unknown. The same answer which was given by the teacher to the disciple in the second slide that we discussed. The witness is nothing but yourself. The self within us is the witness. The body changes always, the mind changes always, the situation changes, but we are always constant and we are always observing what is around us and what changes are done in our body and mind. This establishes the fact that you are not the body, not the mind, but something higher than that, the witness of everything, and that is the consciousness. And the consciousness is reflected in the mind, and the mind gets illuminated by the reflected consciousness. Then the sense organs borrow consciousness from the mind and they make the body fully conscious. And for that, we sometimes feel that our body-mind complex is everything. So it is actually not. The mind is conscious just because of the reflected consciousness. Hence, consciousness is fundamental. It is beyond space and time. Thank you so much.